Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a literal masterclass. Have you ever wondered why professional news segments feel so incredibly tight, engaging, and just perfectly paced, while amateur content kinda drags or loses your attention right off the bat? Well, it's not an accident, and it's definitely not just raw talent. It's actually math. So today, we're unpacking the exact mathematical architectural blueprint used to construct highly professional, standard 4 to 5 minute news explainer segments. We're going to look at the exact formulas and rules that industry professionals use to keep you watching.
Here's our roadmap for today. First up, the news video formula. Second, the golden scripting rule. Third, visuals and audio polish. And finally, the AI workflow. Let's get right into it.
All right, Section 1, the news video formula, and specifically the timeline breakdown.
Now, this is where the magic actually happens. Before you even think about typing a single word of a script or gathering any footage, you have to nail down the chronology. Notice how meticulously this master structure is segmented. A standard news segment runs exactly 4 to 5 minutes, and that time is absolutely not left to chance. From 0 to 30 seconds, you've got the hook, which focuses entirely on a clear statement of the headline using really high-impact footage. Then, from 30 seconds to the 1-minute 30 mark, we move into the context, where the visual strategy shifts over to things like maps, historical footage, or timeline graphics. Then from 1:30 to 3:30, we hit the core, or the debate part of the story. This is where split screens, text overlay quotes, and data charts come into play. After that, from 3:30 to 4:15, we transition to the impact or economy section, which visualizes market shifts or public response with infographics. And finally, the last 45 seconds, from 4:15 to 5 minutes, is completely dedicated to the conclusion, which summarizes everything and gives you a clear what to watch for next outlook.
What's absolutely fascinating to me is the sheer logic behind this pacing. Think about how the timeline distributes your attention. The core debate, the actual meat of the story, gets a full 2 minutes to just breathe. It is the longest single segment. But conversely, the intro and the background context are kept strictly restricted to just 30 seconds and 1 minute respectively. And this structure is designed explicitly to hook you instantly, feed you just enough context to understand the stakes, and then plunge you straight into the deep dive of the conflict without wasting a single second.
Moving right along to Section 2, the golden scripting rule. This is the core mathematical law. So, that brilliant timeline we just went over, it is entirely held together by a strict, undeniable mathematical law of word counts. I want you to think about this for a second. If you're aiming for that perfect 4 to 5 minute duration, how many words do you actually need to hit that professional runtime without putting your audience to sleep? Okay, here is the golden rule, the absolute industry secret. Your script must be exactly between 650 and 750 words. No more, no less. This specific bracket is literally the bedrock of professional news writing. Now you might be wondering, why does this specific number matter so much? Well, a script of 650 to 750 words aligns perfectly with a steady, professional speaking pace of roughly 150 words per minute. By strictly capping the word count, you're doing something absolutely vital. You are leaving room for the explainer to breathe. It gives vital space for visual transitions, dramatic pauses, and B-roll to truly land with the audience. Think about it. If you cram 900 words into 5 minutes, you're sprinting. If you write 400 words, you're crawling. 150 words per minute is for sure the absolute sweet spot.
Let's jump to Section 3, visuals and audio polish. These are the aesthetic rules.
So, with our mathematical backbone set, we absolutely have to talk aesthetics. We need to explore the strict rules that separate amateur content from professional, high-retention polish. The cardinal rule of visuals is pretty simple. Avoid the amateur mistake of a stagnant talking head for 5 straight minutes. Instead, the professional standard relies on constant visual stimulation. This means using lower thirds, dynamic maps, and really compelling B-roll to anchor everything that's being said.
Let's break down those specific B-roll rules a bit further. First off, always use a highly consistent template for your lower thirds, those graphics identifying names, titles, and locations. Second, when you're showing maps and data, rely on high-quality static images with simple animations. It keeps things engaging without being overwhelming. And third, and honestly this is a big one, when it comes to transitions, you want clean, fade to black, or simple cut transitions. Strictly avoid those flashy or distracting effects. The visuals must serve the story, not distract from it.
And hey, audio carries just as much weight as the visual side of things. The rule of thumb here? Keep it serious. Background music should be low volume, ambient, and non-vocal. perfectly complementing a neutral, authoritative voiceover. This mandatory audio framework is exactly what secures your ultimate goal, which is absolute credibility. Finally, we arrive at Section 4, the AI workflow, or how to automate the blueprint. All right, so we've covered the structure, the word counts, the aesthetics, but how do we actually automate the whole shebang? If you're using AI to help generate your script, you can't just ask it to write a new script. You have to enforce the architecture. Step 1, command exactly 700 words to hit that golden rule. Step 2, define a neutral, professional tone. Step 3, force the AI to divide the output into those 5 exact chronological segments we discussed earlier. And Step 4, demand bracketed visual instructions every 100 words. Let's look at exactly what that prompt looks like in practice. You'd say, write a news report script of exactly 700 words on the topic. Use a neutral, professional tone. Divide it into 5 segments: introduction/hook, background context, deep dive into the conflict, economic/global impact, and final outlook. After every 100 words, add a bracketed instruction describing the visual needed, for example, visual, map showing the Strait of Hormuz. By injecting those specific visual instructions every 100 words, you are forcing the AI to act as both your precise writer and your visual director simultaneously. It's a real game changer.
So, we have completely decoded the exact anatomy of a professional segment, from the initial 30-second hook all the way down to that strict 150-word-per-minute pacing. Which leaves us with one final thought to ponder. Will knowing this 700-word mathematical matrix forever change how you watch the news? The next time you click on a professional explainer, try counting the seconds on the hook, look for those clean transitions, and see if you can spot the formula in action. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and stay curious.